So students, we were discussing the chapter federalism, and within federalism we discussed the topic decentralization in India. And now within decentralization in India, now we have to discuss the structure of local self-government at the rural level and at the urban level. So in this decentralization, so far we have discussed that earlier we have discussed the two levels of government, that is the central government and the state government. But you know, the vast country like India, these two levels are not sufficient, so we require the third level also, because in our case some states are as big as independent European countries. Like in the case of, if we see Uttar Pradesh, in the terms of population it is as large as Russia, and if we see Maharashtra, it is as big as Germany. And many states are internally diverse also, so the power sharing is required within the states. So in order to provide power sharing within the states, we require another level of government below the state government. So this is a rationale for decentralization in India, and it resulted in the third tier of government, that is the third level of government, that is the local government. So decentralization, we have talked about that when power is taken away from the central government and the state government, and it is given to the local level. So the power is diluted to the local level, that is decentralization. So we have seen that what is the need of decentralization, because many local issues are there, like water supply, sanitation, drainage, sewerage problem, electricity problem. So many problems are there which can be dealt efficiently at the local level, and the local leaders, they can provide better solutions to these problems of the local people. And the people, they have a better knowledge of their area, and they can manage their resources efficiently, and they can spend their funds also efficiently. And this induces the direct participation of the people in the decision making. So people will come out of their homes and they will start participating in the meetings of the society, and they will take decisions for their society themselves. So you can say these local self-governments, they are a sort of training schools also for the leaders, local leaders, and other people who will then raise up to another levels of the politics, like the state government and the national government. So these are the leaders only which will go then sit in the parliament, and they will frame the policies on the behalf of the people. So after this, we have seen that Article 40, in Article 40 this local self-government is mentioned in our constitution, the panchayats and in the rural area, and then we have seen the municipalities or municipal corporation at the urban level. So this was but before 1992 very little decentralization was there. Why? Because these were under the state government. The panchayats and the municipalities were directly under the state governments, and it was not mandatory for the state government to form the local self-government at the rural and at the urban level. So elections were also not conducted regularly before 1992, and these state governments, they don't share any of their powers and resources with the local government. So you can say that before 1992 very little decentralization was there as regard to local self-government. Then after constitutional amendments 73rd and 74, a constitutional amendment was made in 1992, by which it was made mandatory for the state governments to hold regular elections for creating or for forming this local self-government at the rural and the urban level. So the step towards decentralization, we have seen that elections, now the state government has to form the local self-governments. It is mandatory. Elections were conducted regularly. To conduct elections, the State Election Commission was appointed, and then seats were reserved for OBC, scheduled caste, and 1/3 seats were also reserved for women. And the government, state governments, they also shared their power and funds with the local government. So these changes came after 1992. So now let's see the structure of the local self-government at the rural and the urban level. So the Balwant Rai Committee, first of all, in 1957, they talked about the Panchayati Raj institution, that three-tier system or the three levels of government we require at the local level. Okay, we talk about the father of the local self-government in India. It was Lord Ripon. So now the three-tier, this is a three-tier, Jila Parishad, then Panchayat Samiti and the base unit, the grassroots level, that is the Gram Panchayat. So this is a 3-tier system which the Balwant Rai committee talked of, and this is provided as a structure of the local self-government in the rural area. So this is Panchayati Raj institutions. So now we are talking about the rural local government. So we are talking about the rural local government. So the basic unit here is the village, and so at the grassroots level we find a Gram Panchayat. So each village, if it is small, then they can have they can group together and then they can form one Gram Panchayat, and if it is a big village, then they will have their own Gram Panchayat. So this is a council which consists of the several ward members, which often called Panch and Sarpanch. So this is a council which consists of the several ward members, which are often called Panch and Sarpanch, and these are directly elected by the population which is living in a village. So this is Gram Sabha. So they are directly elected by the Gram Sabha. So the Gram Sabha, they meet twice or thrice in the year, and they assess the performance of the Gram Panchayat, and they reviews the budget also of the Gram Panchayat. And certain the programs of the government, the central government, it is the duty of the Gram Panchayat to implement and execute the policies of the central government, like Manrega is there. Okay, so this is the responsibility of the Gram Panchayat to execute these policies of the central government in their villages, to identify the beneficiaries. Okay, PDS system is there, so the subsidized food grains are provided to the BPL society, BPL families and the poor people. So they have to identify the correct beneficiaries so that the benefit should reach to the proper people. So this is the work day to day. Then the construction work, the construction of any water resource, electricity, and any construction of the new school building. So, and to make harmonious relationship between the society, maintain the harmony between the different sections of society. So this is the work of Gram Panchayat. So when we club a few Gram Panchayats, then it will be a Panchayat Samiti. Okay, the Gram Panchayat members, they are elected directly, but now the members of the Gram Panchayat, they will elect the members of the Panchayat Samiti. So at the block level, so this is at the village level, and this is at the block level. Okay, Mandal or Taluka, so different names are there. So then Panchayat Samiti, the head is the Panchayat Samiti chairperson. Then after that, at the district level, we have a Jila Parishad. So at the district level, we have Jila Parishad. So all the Panchayat Samitis together, they will form a Jila Parishad, and we have a Jila Parishad chairman as the head of the Jila Parishad, and they coordinate, they see the working of the Gram Panchayat is properly done, and Panchayat Samiti also, they assess the performance also, and then the MLAs and MPs of that area is also the member of the Jila Parishad. So this is the structure of Panchayati Raj institutions, Gram Panchayat, then Panchayat Samiti, and then the Jila Parishad. At the urban level, we have for the big cities, like if the big city is there, then we have municipal corporations for that, and the mayor is the head of municipal corporation, and if the big town is there, then we have municipality, and municipal chairperson is there, the municipal chairperson is there, who is the head of municipality. So this is the structure which is there at the rural level by 73rd amendment, and by urban by 74th amendment. Now we have seen the certain achievements of this experiment of decentralization. Women empowerment. Okay, so we empowered women through this constitutional provision. 1/3 of seats were reserved. Empowering of minorities. Okay, the marginalized section of our society was also empowered by giving the reserved seats to SC, BC and OBC. And this is the largest experiment. Okay, the largest experiment which was very successful in the largest democracy of the world. And then after that, it also helped in deepening of democracy. How it helped in deepening of democracy? Because the decision making is involved at the grassroots level. Okay, every person of the village is also included, can participate in the decision making also. So these were the achievements, but still certain challenges are there. Certain challenges like the Gram Panchayat, Gram Sabha, I told you that they meet only twice or thrice, so regular meeting should be there. And then the another challenge is that the state government still, they are not sharing their some powers and resources with the with the local government. So these are the challenges. So that is all with the decentralization.